get this party started right. Let's get this party started quickly. Turn my phone down, turn my phone off.
Hello and
Good morning, good morning. I think one of my eyelashes is coming off. I was looking cute at work last night. I was looking super cute. One of my eyelashes are coming off, y'all. I can't be on here with my face falling off. Well, just don't look too close. Don't look too close. Focus on the word, not on my eyelashes. Good morning, good morning. Today is January 28th. Is it Monday? Or is it Tuesday? It's Tuesday now. Y'all know I work midnight, so my days get confused. It is now Tuesday morning, January 28th. Happy birthday, Grandma Mildred. That's my granny. 2020, and today we're going to read the Bible. What are we going to read? I'm glad you asked. We're going to be reading Exodus 13 through 15, and I'm going to do something a little different today because y'all know I've been hustling. I really been hustling to get my channel, like, pump it up, pump it up, pump it up. And talking to a lot of people, and I've been getting a really good response. So it's going to take me like maybe one extra minute, hopefully not that too long. I want to give a quick shout out to the folks who have given me a really positive feedback, a really positive response, because not everybody's interested, and even the people that aren't say they're interested, some of them have kind of like, I don't know, maybe they forgot. But these are the people who have actually joined me in the last 4 weeks, because I think that's about how long I've been like really pushing it. So thank you so much to RichCat09. I'm looking at this in my inbox on here. Sandra McKenzie, Mr. Jenner Chickens, Carolyn Lewis, Casey Detox Diva. I've actually talked to her a few times. E. Garcia 298, King El Boogie, Playboy 825, Janice Passagian, The Illuminator, John Farrell. Some of these are my coworkers, so thank you so much to my coworkers that actually helped me out and join my channel and check me out. David Straub, thank you. Summer Reno, D Hawk, the A Clay 21, Hyung Kwang Tin, Steve Chad, Disney Princess 1986, Tyler Holman, Desland Freeman. And I think I even had two of the people that I talked to this morning, right as I was leaving the job. I got Curved 1978. And where's the two people that I just seen pop up? Fernando Diaz, JT Wavy, or Dripping King, JT Wavy, Robert Simmons, and yeah. So thank you so much for the folks who have joined me recently. I really do appreciate it. And I don't know if you're here today, but if you're here today, welcome. And if you're watching on the replay, welcome. And yeah, let's get started. The Wiz says, good morning. Hey, The Wiz, you know, on my Instagram stories, I put, what did I just touch? On my Instagram stories, I shared a song. You know what that song is? The song is from The Wiz. And it's the one that Lena Horne sang, Believe in Yourself. Believe in yourself as I believe in you. Yeah, that actually went along, or that was inspired by the other video that I put out yesterday. So The Wiz, every time I see that name, I want to say it like one of the guards. I think one of the guards at the castle at the Emerald City, that's how they said it. Somebody like that said it, so that's why I say it that way. Brene is laughing and says, my lashes be falling off too. These are the magnetic ones, so I don't think I put enough layers of that stuff on there, but in either case, it's been a long night. I'm ready to pull them off, actually. Where did I say we were? We are in 13, which means I'm going to do a recap of 10, 11, and 12. Yes. The recap of 10 and 11, 12 from yesterday was Moses in Egypt. He's trying his best to get his people up out of there. Pharaoh's being stubborn, but the Lord is actually hardening his heart. And so here comes these plagues. Hardened heart or not, I'm telling you about that first or second plague. I would have been like, go, you're good. So chapter 10 started off with the plague of locusts. And seems like I should go back a little further than that. No. A plague of locusts. So that entire chapter was covering it. And a plague of darkness. Chapter 11 was death for Egypt's firstborn. And then chapter 12 was talking about the first Passover. And Israel's exodus from Egypt. And instructions for the Passover. That catches us up to today, which is chapter 13. Renee says, I haven't tried the magnetic ones yet. Yeah, it's a little bit different. But actually, it's just like the glue. It's just like the glue, except supposedly I can pull it off and put it back on because the magnet will stick to the magnetized liquid. But they're both about the same because this one's still about to fall off. Okay, chapter 13. Actually, let me take a quick sip of this tea. This ginger tea. It's actually too hot. And how's everybody doing this morning? I don't know about you guys, but we had really heavy fog yesterday on the way home, which was kind of like a unpleasant and sad reminder of fog that happened in celebrity news. And then today was raining. So Fort Worth has got some changing wet weather. Okay, I can feel the difference already. Shall we? Dedication of the firstborn. Let me move my live stream up. For some reason, when I come on here, I'm 30 seconds behind like everybody else. I got to be the one that's like current, if anything else. All right, chapter 13, dedication of the firstborn. Then the Lord said to Moses, dedicate to me every firstborn among the Israelites. The first offspring to be born of both humans and animals belongs to me. So Moses said to the people, this is a day to remember forever, the day you left Egypt, the place of your slavery. Today the Lord has brought you out by the power of his mighty hand. Remember, eat no food containing yeast. On this day in early spring, in the month of Abib, you have been set free. I see a little asterisk. Let me go down to the postscript to see what that means. What is Abib? Let's see, chapter 13, verse 4. Okay. In the Hebrew script, it says, on this day in the month of Abib, this first month of the ancient Hebrew lunar calendar usually occurs within the months of March and April. All right. On this day in the early spring, in the month of Abib, you have been set free. You must celebrate this event in the month each year after the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivites, and Jebusites. He swore to your ancestors that he would give you this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. For 7 days, the bread you eat must be made without yeast. Then on the seventh day, celebrate a feast to the Lord. Eat bread without yeast during those 7 days. In fact, there must be no yeast bread or any yeast at all found within the borders of your land during this time. On the 7th day, you must explain to your children, I am celebrating what the Lord did for me when I left Egypt. This annual festival will be a visible sign to you, like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. Let it remind you always to recite this teaching of the Lord. With a strong hand the Lord rescued you from Egypt. So observe the decree of this festival at the appointed time each year. I'm blessed. I woke up. Are you there? Oh, there you go, y'all. I went to rub my eye and it just jumped off. Oh my goodness. How embarrassing. Well, not really. It doesn't take, I'm not easily embarrassed nowadays. It's funny because there's a magnetized spot on my laptop, and when I dropped it, it hopped right there. It says, are you there? Are you there? Are you asking me, am I there? Or did you miss a word on there? I'm not understanding that one. I got a question though. What is the significance? I don't have an answer though. I'm gonna take this off so I match at least. What's the significance of eating bread with no yeast? What does the yeast represent? Actually, last week in Matthew, I read the verse of the yeast when Jesus was describing something about the yeast. Right now, I have to go back and study that. And the yeast actually represented the Pharisees and the Sadducees, something like that. So is this representation? Is this a physical thing? Is it symbolic of something else? Or is it because something is actually, yeast is actually like a bacteria? like a freeze dry type of bacteria, and as it's doing its thing, it's like as it's exhaling, non-scientifically speaking, as the bacteria is breathing out and exhaling and excrementing its waste, which is carbon dioxide. That's what makes the dough expand. So I mean, I'm trying to get scientific, and I'm also trying to get spiritual and symbolic. Why no yeast? Why no yeast? I'm curious. If anybody knows now or on the replay, let me know what's the significance of not eating yeast in the bread. The Lord said, don't even make it in, don't even let it be in your household or in the land. Okay, going down to lost my place now. Oh, we're in verse 11. Verse 11 of chapter 13. So the Lord just said, observe the decree of this festival at the appointed time each year and teach your children. So this is what you must do when the Lord fulfills the promise he swore to you and to your ancestors. When he gives you the land where the Canaanites now live, you must present all firstborn sons and firstborn male animals to the Lord, for they belong to him. A firstborn donkey may be brought back from the Lord by presenting a lamb or young goat in its place. But if you do not buy it back, you must break its neck. Sheesh. However, you must buy back every firstborn son. And in the future, your children will ask you, buy back. Okay, I get it. So you're dedicating it to God. And if it belongs to God, you can't take it back. You have to buy it back. Okay, I get it. And in the future, your children will ask, what does all this mean? Then you would tell them, with the power of his mighty hand, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, the place of our slavery. Pharaoh stubbornly refused to let us go, so the Lord killed all the firstborn males throughout the land of Egypt, both people and animals. That is why I now sacrifice all the firstborn males to the Lord, except that the firstborn sons are always brought back. This ceremony will be like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. It is a reminder that the power of the Lord's mighty hand brought us out of Egypt. So there was an actual taking of the firstborn sons, and now there's a symbolic taking of the firstborn sons, but you get your child back. Good question. Yeah, good. I have to look into that. I wonder if it ties into that scripture in Matthew when Jesus was talking about the yeast, but I don't know. I'm just here giving commentary as I'm reading, as I'm studying and learning. Now, Israel's wilderness detour in verse 17 of chapter 13. When Pharaoh finally let the people go, God did not lead them along the main road that runs through the Philistine country, even though that was the shortest route to the promised land. God said if the people are faced with a battle, they might change their minds and return to Egypt. So God led them in a roundabout way through the wilderness toward the Red Sea. Thus the Israelites left Egypt like an army ready for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him. Remember back in Genesis, Joseph was like, when the time comes, I want my bones to be buried alongside my people. But he did die in Egypt. So Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel swear to do this. He said, God will certainly come to help you. When he does, you must take my bones with you from this place. The Israelites left Sukkoth and camped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. The Lord went ahead of them. He guided them during the day with a pillar of cloud, and he provided light at night with a pillar of fire. This allowed them to travel by day or by night. And the Lord did not remove the pillar of cloud or pillar of fire from its place in front of the people. Chapter 14. Wet my whistle with some of this ginger tea. Ooh, hot. Chapter 14. Then the Lord gave these instructions to Moses. Order the Israelites to turn back and camp by Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea. Camp there along the shore across from Baal-zephon. Then Pharaoh will think the Israelites are confused. They are trapped in the wilderness. And once again, I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and he will chase after you. I have planned this in order to display my glory, through Pharaoh and his whole army. After this, the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord. So the Israelites camped there as they were told. Verse 5. The Egyptians pursue Israel. When word reached the king of Egypt that the Israelites had fled, Pharaoh and his officials changed their minds. "What have we done, letting all those Israelite slaves get away?" they asked. So Pharaoh harnessed his chariot and called up his troops. He took with him 600 of Egypt's best chariots, along with the rest of the chariots of Egypt, each with its commander. The Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, so he chased after the people of Israel, who had left with fists raised in defiance. The Egyptians chased after them with all the forces in Pharaoh's army, all his horses and chariots, his charioteers, and his troops. The Egyptians caught up with the people of Israel as they were camped beside the shore near Pi-hahiroth, across from Baal-zephon. As Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. They cried out to the Lord and said to Moses, "Why did you bring us here to die in the wilderness? Weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Didn't we tell you this would happen while we were still in Egypt? We said, 'Leave us alone, let us be slaves to the Egyptians.' It's better to be a slave in Egypt than a corpse in the wilderness." But Moses told the people, "Don't be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord himself will fight for you. Just stay calm." And now escape through the Red Sea. In verse 15. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the people to get moving. Pick up your staff and raise your hand over the sea. Divide the water so the Israelites can walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. And I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they will charge in after the Israelites. My great glory will be displayed through Pharaoh and his troops, his chariots and his charioteers. When my glory is displayed through them, all Egypt will see my glory and know that I am the Lord." Then the angel of God, who had been leading the people of Israel, moved to the rear of the camp. The pillar of cloud also moved from the front and stood behind them. The cloud settled between the Egyptian and Israelite camps. As darkness fell, the cloud turned to fire, lighting up the night. But the Egyptians and Israelites did not approach each other all night. Then Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the Lord opened up a path through the water with a strong east wind. The wind blew all that night, turning the seabed into dry land. So the people of Israel walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground with walls of water on each side. Then the Egyptians, all of Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers, chased them into the middle of the sea. But just before dawn, the Lord looked down on the Egyptian army from the pillar of fire and cloud, and he threw their forces into total confusion. He twisted their chariot wheels, making their chariots difficult to drive. "Let's get out of here, away from these Israelites," the Egyptians shouted. The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt. When all the Israelites had reached the other side, the Lord said to Moses, "Raise your hand over the sea again. Then the waters will rush back and cover the Egyptians and their chariots and charioteers." So as the sun began to rise, Moses raised his hand over the sea, and the water rushed back into its usual place. The Egyptians tried to escape, but the Lord swept them into the sea. Then the waters returned and covered all the chariots and charioteers, the entire army of Pharaoh. Of all the Egyptians who had chased the Israelites into the sea, not a single one survived. But the people of Israel had walked through the middle of the sea on dry ground, as the water stood up like a wall on both sides. That is how the Lord rescued Israel from the hand of the Egyptians that day. And the Israelites saw the bodies of the Egyptians washed up on the seashore. When the people of Israel saw the mighty power that the Lord had unleashed against the Egyptians, they were filled with awe before him. They put their faith in the Lord and in his servant Moses. Good morning, Erica the Wiz says. I hope you guys don't hear that squeaky squeak, squeaky squeak. It's a cat toy in another room, and I hear it in my ear, and I'm trying to ignore it, but I hope it's not too much of a distraction for you guys. Hey, the cat's got to play. Let's see, am I moving on to 15, or is that the last one? Yes, 15. Oh, good grief. It only squeaks when they pat it around. Chapter 15, A Song of Deliverance. A song of deliverance. Then Moses and the people of Israel sang this song to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has hurled both horse and rider into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has given me victory. This is my God, and I will praise him, my father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. Yahweh is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and army he has hurled into the sea. The finest of Pharaoh's officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The deep waters gushed over them. They sank to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, is glorious in power. Your right hand, O Lord, smashes the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you overthrow those who rise against you. You unleash your blazing fury. It consumes them like straw. At the blast of your breath, the waters piled up. The surging waters stood straight like a wall. In the heart of the sea, the deep waters became hard. The enemy boasted, I will chase them and catch up with them. I will plunder them and consume them. I will flash my sword. My powerful hand will destroy them. But you blew with your breath, and the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you among the gods, O Lord, glorious in holiness, awesome in splendor, performing great wonders? You raised your hand, and the earth swallowed our enemies. With your unfailing love, you lead the people you have redeemed. In your might, you guide them to your sacred home. The peoples hear and tremble. Anguish grips those who live in Philistia. The leaders of Edom are terrified. The nobles of Moab tremble. All who live in Canaan melt away. Terror and dread fall upon them. The power of your arm makes them lifeless as stone. Until your people pass by, O Lord, until the people you purchased pass by. You will bring them in and plant them on your own mountain. The place, O Lord, reserved for your own dwelling. The sanctuary, O Lord, that your hands have established. The Lord will reign forever and ever. And that's their song. When Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers rushed into the sea, the Lord brought, I guess it's not the song. I got a little bit more. When the Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and charioteers rushed into the sea, the Lord brought the water crashing down on them. But the people of Israel had to walk through the middle of the sea on dry ground. Then Miriam the prophet, Aaron's sister, it is the end of the song. I thought so. Then Miriam the prophet, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine and led all the women as they played their tambourines and danced. And Miriam sang this song. Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. He has hurled both horse and rider into the sea. Give me one moment. I don't know if you can hear that squeaky squeak, but I can, and it's annoying me. You guys meditate on that song they just made. Who in the world is squeaking that squeaker? Y'all having too much fun. Yeah, I know. Can I go into this for a moment? I'll give it back. I'll give it back later, okay? Squeaky squeak. Yeah, I don't know if you guys could hear that or not, but this little guy was squeakity squeaky, squeakity squeaky, squeakity squeaky, and it was kind of competing with me there for a moment. All right, verse 22 of 15. Verse 22. Lord have mercy. I'm trying. You go to timeout and stop being a bully. Okay. No more distractions. Everybody behave themselves. As I was saying, verse 22 of 15 starts talking about bitter water at Marah. Check in with the chat room. Good morning at the Wiz. Then Moses led the people of Israel away from the Red Sea, and they moved out into the desert of Shur. They traveled in the desert for 3 days without finding any water. When they came to the oasis of Marah, the water was too bitter to drink, so they called the place Marah, which means bitter. Then the people complained and turned against Moses. What are we going to drink? They demanded. So Moses cried out to the Lord for help, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. Moses threw it into the water, and this made the water good to drink. It was there at Marah that the Lord set before them the following decree as a standard to test their faithfulness to him. He said, "If you will listen carefully to the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right in his sight, obeying his commands and keeping all his decrees, then I will not make you suffer any of the diseases I sent on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." After leaving Marah, the Israelites traveled on to the oasis of Elim, where they found 12 springs and 70 palm trees. They camped there beside the water. Yep, that's it for today. Tomorrow should be like 16, 17, and 18, and that will be it. Ladies and gentlemen, those in the live chat and those in the replay, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And yes, let me know what you thought about today's reading. If you have any comments, if you have any insight, if you have any questions, if you have any answers for like the scripture reading about the yeast, I'm curious about that. Let me know what you think about that one or anything else that I read today. And I will see you guys tomorrow as we cover, double check, Exodus 16 and 18. I did not do my screen share for the day. For those of you who may not know what I'm talking about, this is the book, New Believer's Bible. This is the Bible version right there. Where's it at? There we go. Compact version, New Living Testament. See that? And give me one moment and I will share with you the screen share of the book. Hold on, I'm having issues with OBS. Oh, OBS. They're always testing me. All right, here we go. This is the guide that I'm using. Diane Stort's A Woman's Guide to Reading the Bible in a Year, a Life-Changing Journey into the Heart of God. This is the Kindle version. The link is in the description if you want to check it out. And that's the cover of it. And this is the table of contents, where week by week I am following the guide. We are in week 5, A Holy Nation. And that's how it's broken down. A holy nation. And then it tells me how many scriptures to read per day. And these are the checkpoints. The Passover lamb, water from the rock, father-in-law's wise advice, eagle's wings, and a meal on a mountain. All right. Here's a question at the bottom here. I never do these little questions because this is really meant to be for like a group study in like a Bible study group. But I mean, I'm kind of doing it on my own and you guys are just invited along for the ride. But here's a question for you guys to think about during the week. It says, how did you experience God's heart in this week's what? How did you experience God's heart in this week's reading? Think about something that you learned or an insight that you gained. Think about a verse or a passage that you would like to remember and, take questions on your own and meditate on them and see if you can pray and or study for understanding. Hey, get away from my tea. All right. Bam, bam. Another shout out to all of my new subscribers and folks that followed through and subscribed like they said they would. I really do appreciate it. And for those of you who didn't and said you would, I'll be patient because maybe you just forgot. And another shout out to The Wiz and Erica Brene, my 2 special guests for today, and anybody else who was lurking in the background and just didn't want to speak up. Let's see. I haven't tried the magnetic ones yet. I'm blessed. I woke up. Are you there? Good question. Good morning. Good morning. See y'all tomorrow. Yes, I'm going back and forth between other programs. I don't know what that means. going back and forth between other programs. I don't know what that means. But if you if you pop the answer in there before I shut down the live, then I will know. All right, now that the reading is over, the cats are rewarded with their mouse toy again. There y'all go. I should probably get some more so they don't have to share, but they like it. Anyways, thanks again, everybody. I will see you guys on tomorrow. This was another short one. I never know if it's going to be short or long because I haven't read the Bible before, so I don't know how long the chapters are. But thank you guys for stopping by, and I will see you guys on tomorrow. Man, this OBS is acting so weird. Man, why is it acting so weird? Am I frozen? Looks like my face is frozen. Oh, it's just paused. Silly me. Yeah, I got like 8 people in the room. Or I had. But yeah, sometimes people just don't want to talk. That's okay. Sometimes I don't want to talk either. Just like to sit back and chill in the live. All right, everybody, who's ready for the theme song? I am. Sing along if you know the words. Thank you so much for stopping in on Entrepreneur Drive 40, Entrepreneur Drive, Entrepreneur Drive 40, Entrepreneur Drive, Entrepreneur Drive 40, Entrepreneur Drive. Thanks for watching, share, like, and subscribe. That's the most important part, subscribe. Subscribe. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to follow me on social media. Hi, PJ.